Alrighty, College Place, welcome back and welcome to the second video. This one's going to be going over some basic features of Photoshop, how to open it, how to set up a new document, where all the things are. And then the one after that, well, this one is going to be some of the basic tools and just how to use it. These videos can only be 15 minutes long, so it might be broken into a few. And I mean, that might be better for you, just so you can watch smaller portions at different times. But yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Whoops. Alrighty. So if you go to the bottom left hand or the search bar, or even like the Windows bar of your computer, and then type in Photoshop, you should get an icon that looks like this right here. This little PS inside the blue square. That stands for Photoshop. This is an Adobe product, so it might bring up Adobe, and Illustrator looks like this. They all kind of have this squared outline with the letters inside. I don't know why it's AI, but for Illustrator. Anyways, go ahead and open up Photoshop, and you're going to be greeted with something that looks like this, but mainly you're going to be looking for this top bar right here. So you'll have a create new and an open, assuming that we have the same version. Mine might be a little newer than your guys's. Either that or your guys's is newer. I don't know, but I guess we'll see. But either way, both of them should have this bar right up here, and that's what you're going to be looking for. So just like any sort of document, like in Word or PowerPoint like that, I'm going to go ahead and start a new one by hitting File and then New. Again, this is a fantastic time to get your notes out, take notes, write things down that you might not remember. Also, you can always reference this video. The next video after this is going to be a big note-taking option, because you're going to learn some control keys, some commands, some different functions that you might not remember on the spot. But this one, wouldn't worry about it too much, but if it helps you, go ahead and take the notes. So, to start, we're going to have this little bar up here. Now, to start, it's going to give you recents, because I have done multiple documents in Photoshop. It's going to be asking me what I want. Now, these are for more professional users. They're going to be custom artboards, and it's going to be presets that you can set for different things, but working with the laser, chances are you're going to have to make your document the same size as the object you want to cut or engrave. So say you have a piece of wood that is 5 by 5 inches. You guys have measuring tapes available and different things like that to make sure you can measure it, get it as accurate as possible, because it will outline your object in a square format. I will explain how to engrave on things that are different shapes later on, but for now we're just going to assume that you have a 5 by 5 piece of wood. So go ahead and ignore all these. This is going to be the biggest thing you want right here. So we'll go over here, and the first one you'll be greeted with is, it says Untitled 1. This is the title of your document. So to easier remember it, when you file and save as in the end, it'll sort of, it'll give you that option to change the name, but it's easier to do it in the beginning. So I'll just say square, because that's what it's going to be. So then you have your width and your height. So go ahead and make sure that you change that to whatever it is you want. Beforehand, make sure that you are in the right sizing option. I can't think of the word. So we have pixels, inches, centimeters, millimeters, points, and picas. Picas, not sure. Either way, you probably won't use this, or points or millimeters. Most times we'll use pixels, centimeters, or inches. I always stay on inches just because it's the easiest. It's your standard measuring tool on a what are they called? Measuring tape. Gosh, I'm at a loss for words. So we'll go ahead and select inches, and then we will change this to 5 by 5. Because it is square, your orientation will auto-adapt. So whatever you put for the width is obviously going to be horizontal, and whatever you put for the height is going to be vertical. You can definitely switch those around if you want to place it differently, but for now we'll just go with the basics of basics. So as I talked about in the last video, we talked about DPI, which is dots per inch. This is going to be the resolution of your photo or your object that you're going to be importing. So 300 is the best you can get. Below that, you're looking at 240, and then, you got like 160 or 150, and then 70. The lower the number, the worse the quality is going to be. Now, to get a good vector out of your object when you're done in Photoshop, you're going to want that to be as high as possible. So we're going to head and stay at 300 pixels per inch. So moving down, you're going to go color mode. So color mode is going to be, as it says, the color mode of the artboard that you have. So RGB color is going to be the basics, so this stands for red, green, and blue. Those are going to be the primary colors for any sort of object that you get. Anytime you're printing something, you're going to be using CMYK. That stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. The reason black is labeled in a K is because B is already for blue and RGB. So we won't be using that very often unless you decide to print something. Lab color, go ahead and ignore that. I don't really know anybody that actually uses that. Grayscale, this is going to make everything black and white. And bitmap, to be honest, I still have no idea what that is. I haven't used it, but so just make sure that you're on RGB. Anytime you bring something in that might have color in it and it goes all black and white, that might mean that your preset is grayscale, so you can change this when you're ready. So down here we have background contents. Now the big thing to remember is the board that you are creating right now is like the platform. So it's basically like if I took a sheet of paper and I wanted to draw a picture on it, that is my artboard. The piece of paper is going to be where I'm going to put content on. So this right here is going to say what color you want it to be. White's the easiest color. It's usually the basic format that they put in there for you. But they also give you black and then a custom background color. Black is going to be a little hard to see because black is going to be the main color we want our objects to be when we're cutting. The main reason for that is the more color you put in there, the harder it is to define an edge and sort of where everything fits together. And so black is going to be the easiest to pick out and the most common color. So we're going to go ahead and select white, because in the end, in all technicality, we're going to have to get rid of our background because we can't have content and a background. So I'll explain that in just a bit. So once you have something that looks similar to this, you can go ahead and change that if you want, but that's what I'm using for demonstrative purposes. We will go ahead and go right down here and hit create. So there we go. This is our artboard, or that sheet of paper, and this is going to be where you are going to be putting your content on. So you might not see everything on this screen right here. That's because to get the best quality video, I have to make it a little bit smaller. So I have these edges right here. So I'll go ahead and pan around with this box that I have. So go ahead and bear with me and just follow along. So up here at the top left, we're going to be having our icon for Photoshop, just to know where you are, just in case you have Illustrator open as well. Along the top, these are going to be some selection keys. Your file is still here, so this has everything you need. You have your save as, your open. This will go draw documents that are actually from Photoshop. Open as, you can create or open different documents in different types and such. But that's not too important right now. We'll get to that later. On the left here, you have your essentials. Now, essentials are basically the basic of basic tools that you're going to be using to manipulate images in your document. Now, just in case this ever disappears or doesn't show up, you can go ahead and go up here to Window, Workspace, and then Reset Essentials. That's going to basically reformat everything to the basic as it was. You can delete your workspace and you can do all those different fancy things. But this is a good tool just in case you start losing some things. So right here, where it says square 50% RGB/16, I never got to this number, the 16. That's going to be sort of input pixels. So you're going to be 32, 16, and 8. Just because we never know how quality objects are going to be when we bring them into Photoshop. 16 is sort of that medium point where it sort of goes either way. But, either one's fine. 16, 32. Don't recommend 8, but you can if you want. So over here, Essentials, a really cool thing is this little arrow right here. I don't know if you can see that, but if you click that, it'll make all of your little essentials here a little bit smaller and compact so you can see it. You can also grab any sort of these dark gray spaces and bring it anywhere on the board that you want, so it's a little more easily accessible to you. So this bar right here is going to be a ruler. This is the scale of my document. So you can see it starts at 0 and ends at 5, and it's the exact size that I typed in for my artboard. So that's really cool. So moving over to the right, you have your obvious exit, minimize, and then sort of like scale down. You all know what that is. This right here is going to be colors and swatches. This is going to be different colors for different objects that you might create. Going down a little bit, it says learn. So Photoshop sometimes will give you different tips and tricks on their own. And so that's a super cool option. You can go ahead and look at those if you want. But I honestly think that YouTube's probably a better place to learn different things. So we're going to go to libraries here. There's nothing here really because I don't have a lot of stuff saved. But if you have different colors that you might save. So this one I have for Walla Walla Community College. This is the RGB specific color of yellow or gold that they use in their logos. But you know, unless you're using something from multiple scenarios, it's not really too important. Adjustments, these are going to be some different color and visual effects that you can change. I won't get too much into these because you probably won't be using those. These are more for if you input photography. You can sort of use those preset edits. Moving down, we have the layers panel. So this is super important to understand. I will get into this more in the next video, but this is basically where the layers are going to lie. So imagine this is your first piece of paper that you're drawing on, and then I can create another piece of paper to draw on, and it's sort of adding different things on top of each other. There's also all these different tools up here that you can use, creating new ones, deleting some, and so we'll get into those in the next one, but I just want to get you familiar where everything is. So that is the, well, basic of basics. The next video is going to be going over some key commands, and then we'll start going over these tools right here. Hope that was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.